Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Jaipur, India, this is Wisdom of the Sages, your daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and bestie, co-host, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. This is your daily yoga podcast, all made for you, and we're studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the ancient books on yoga, and we happen to be in a very cool place. Now, it's known as one of the biggest tourist cities in India, Jaipur, but it's an old king and king of Bhakti-yogis, a kingdom of Bhakti-yogis. And I tell you, it's still going on because we just got back from the 4:45 Mangala Arati. So there's like 7 aratis where they worship, do pujas in the temples, rituals in the temple, and they open the curtains and they open the giant, you see that when they open that giant door? It's like the biggest door I've ever seen. And they open this door, and then, anyways, this happens 7 times during the day. And the Mangala one is the very first one. Mangala means auspicious. And we got there, it was sort of like a little underwhelming. Like nothing was happening. No one was there, sort of quiet, got there early. We weren't really early. We were like 15 minutes early or so. And then all of a sudden, a couple people trickled in. It was sort of soft. And then all of a sudden, it just started getting packed and packed and packed. And people are on their way to work. I mean, what day is it? Tuesday morning? Tuesday morning, people on their way to work, business suits and getting ready. And then it just starts breaking into these beautiful, one lady starts singing a song and everybody jumps in the song. And that song ends, another song starts. And they're all sort of a cappella. Nothing's planned. It's not, there's no instrumentals or instruments rather. And it's just going almost like very, what's the word I'm looking for? Unofficial. It felt very unofficial, but very like personally inspired. And then when they finally opened that gigantic door, it was such a buildup, wasn't it? Because the music started getting faster and faster. The chanting started getting a little louder. And then they opened the gigantic door. And then there's just like these peacock curtains. These are the peacock curtains. And we're waiting there. And everyone's built. Right, and yeah, you see some fire going on in the background behind the curtains. They're lighting some stuff back there. It was such a great buildup. Like by the time they open those curtains, everyone was losing their mind. And it's just filled with like so much song and joy and love, and people are passing out flowers and tulsi leaves and sandalwood paste on her head. And then we said, you know what we're going to do afterwards? We're going to do a little kirtan. So we set up, I got all proud and set up that harmonium, started singing Govinda Miro Hey. And it was very nice. And everyone started dancing with us and handing us out. It appeared from our vantage point like, wow, we're pretty awesome here. And then all of a sudden we stopped and we realized there's a whole second louder kirtan going on right next to us. But it was filled with like people actually losing their mind in dance. I mean, I think Rachel even lost her mind today. Her material mind is over. Jeff, you might have to check in with her because she shed all false ego. There was one guy in a business suit that must have been, I'm pretty short. He must have been about 4 feet tall. And he was doing dancing that I can't even imagine. I mean, we all were like wrapped in awe. And it wasn't like, he wasn't trying to like pick up girls or do anything. It was like completely joyful love of God through his heart. And he's going to go right to the office after this. That's his day. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to do yoga. You need to just dance for the Lord unabashedly, like no one's watching. He must be in incredible shape. I'm a pretty goofy dancer, but he's got me beat many times over. Oh, yeah. I felt very reserved and conservative compared to him. And then as I left, I said, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Ram." And I said, "What's your name?" He said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Raghunath." And he goes, "Ah!" And we just embraced and we went our separate ways. It was quite a morning, Kaustubha. What do you think?
Is he muted?
Are you muted, Kaustubha?
Well, if he says yes, he was here.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. I was like,
So,
what's he saying?
it's a secret. It's hard to describe
secret pranayama mantra.
It's hard to describe how special it is. You know, there's a depth to their sentiments there. You can feel it. It's very palpable. I was standing next to Janeshwar. So from the minute that we walked in there, and as you were describing, there's hardly anybody there. There's one lady up front. She's singing songs by herself, you know. But she's singing it for the deities, for Radha Govinda, and for everybody there. And I was asking, as she switched to different songs, I kept asking Janeshwar, like, what is she singing? So the first song she was singing was like, open up the gates. You know, it's like, she's saying, you know, you're standing in front, they're waiting for the gates to open up so you can see Radha Govinda. And the song is just about, please open, you know, you get there, it's like 4:30 in the morning or something like that. You stand in front and you start saying, please open up the gates. I want to see you. I'm so eager to see you. It's the spontaneous love that's popular in Krishna Bhakti, you know. And all those people there, they didn't look like your stereotypical yogis. It looked like a bunch of ordinary people, you know, just like super ordinary people in one sense. But they're all there early in the morning singing their hearts out with total enthusiasm. Like this was like, you know, so real what they're feeling.
It was so welcoming. That was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
Like they didn't treat me like a weirdo, an outsider, this white dude, you know, what they made me feel like I was part of their family. I was ready to move in with them.
You know, it was funny so after, you know, the group, most of our group, we had about 15 people there. So, and most of the group went back to where we're staying. And Janeshwar and I went to go try to set up a kirtan and a meal at a nearby temple. And so
Another
it was
ancient temple.
Yeah. And so it was about a 15-minute walk. And as we're walking there, again, it's like 5 a.m. or something like that. It's still dark out. And people are all pouring out of that temple, out of the Govindaji temple. And as we're walking on the road, you know, like one car pulls up and there's an old man and driving the car and he says, you know, would you like a drive anywhere you'd like to go? I'll be happy to take you. You know, this is like,
where do you get that type of like,
yeah,
you know, if anybody says that in New York, you want to go for a drive?
Yeah, no, like, thank you.
Would. Come on, I'll take you anywhere you want to go.
But it's so all these otherwise ordinary looking people, they don't look like great yogis. They don't look like they're great meditators or renunciates. They're ordinary people that are going to work and that are, you know, they have their families, they have their jobs. But this spirit within them, where their mind is going, it means that they're great yogis. You know, their minds are just focused with spontaneous love and heart focused on Krishna. They get up early every morning. They could be lying.
If the goal of yoga system is to transform your mind, which transforms your heart, these guys have transformed it. I mean, it's quite amazing.
Yes.
There was where do you see a bunch of grown adult men dancing like children with each other in business suits, dressed to go to work, but they're just dancing like almost like silly, and they're not drunk. It's early in the morning.
They appear to be drunk.
It's not like 11 o'clock at night and they're at a bar and they're dancing. It's early in the morning. They're consciously got up, took their bath, came, and then they're just handing out little tulsi leaves to each other. And then all of a sudden they break into ecstatic rapture and start dancing with each other. Like, you know, for most people, they would just be like, who are these fools? But they have so much joy in their heart. You can't help but just sort of smile. And then there's like the big handful that are actually losing their mind. And they're just, one guy's on the floor like a Russian, I don't know what that Russian dance is.
Doing the worm or something.
Low. Yeah.
You know, and as we were leaving the temple, and there's such a buzz in the place, right? Everybody's happy.
It's such a buzz. It's such a joyous feeling.
Yeah.
What a great way to wake up.
And as we're going, like, you can't go another 20 steps without someone like reaching out and handing you more prasadam, like more food, you know, delicious sweets and everything. Like they want to feed you. This is like, as you mentioned, welcoming. It's even more than that. It's like it's like this universal brother and sisterhood. This is real peace on the spiritual level. We're not judging anyone by their bodies. We're not judging anybody. There's no attitudes. There's no egos. It's all just love. And it's love focused around the root of our existence, around Radha Govinda. And everybody feels connected to each other.
Yeah, this is the results. This is the result, the ripened fruit of everything we're doing on a regular basis reading here is it just sort of breaks down. And then there's just this, all of our ladies were losing their mind too. It was like, I was like trying to contain them all. And what the crazy guy was saying, no, come with us. And I tell you, it wasn't, sometimes I've got a keen eye, like who's like messing with the women, but it wasn't like that. I don't, I think women can tell who's being creepy. They weren't creepy. They were just like, it was really a joyful, beautiful, non-creepy dance. Yeah, they just wanted to dance it. And people are just walking around standing like Krishna in meditation. People are touching the walls, putting their head on the locks of the locked deities' doors. Anybody else got anything they want to share? Yes.
We're ripping the flowers so we can offer everybody has something to give.
Yeah, someone's handing me flowers. I thought it was for me. I started worshiping myself with the flowers. Made a mistake. I thought it was prashad, that's why, but it wasn't. I was supposed to offer them, so I sort of blew that flower. To wait for a new one.
Janesh was translating some of the other words for me that this lady was singing.
Janesh was our drummer, if you don't know him. He's my assistant and music teacher with us.
And so he was saying, like, she was singing. It's beautiful how she's singing. It's got a little rhythm to. It's got this kind of, I don't know. It's just like it's got a certain.
You know what? We should post it. Did anyone record her singing? I started late. Maybe you could post it to the the Telegram thread would be great.
By the way, if you're not
on the if you're new to our show, we have a Telegram thread that will completely suck up your entire day and distract you from your work. So if you're interested in joining that, like all of us do, you can email Mara, our executive producer, at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and you can join our Telegram thread.
So he was saying that what she was singing was like, whether we're happy or sad, whether we're going through this or whether we're going through that, you are our shelter, Govinda. It's just such nice. What are most people doing when they get up? Where are their minds going? And are they happy or are they depressed?
What are the first things that we look? What are the first visions in our face when we get up in the morning? Is it the news? Is it Instagram? Is it like what is going through our brain first thing in the morning? Are we saying?
Or are you waking up extra early in the morning to go see Govinda?
Yeah.
Sing these songs.
We have everybody here. We were exhausted. I'm sorry.
No, nothing. It's just like, we almost feel like the day's complete right now. How could you not be happy? How could you not feel good? How could your mind not be uplifted?
I was just thinking of all the tourists that come to the city and how many are probably not going to have that most ecstatic experience. They're just going to get lost in a market, a messy market, loud. But I tell you, you feel so uplifted. And I was thinking, you wake up because it's Mangal Artik, and we're not staying like really near the temple. So the Mangal Artik starts at 4:45. That means we have to take a shower, get dressed. So we set her. Kaustubha was already up by the time I got up. I got up at 3:30 or 3:20, and you were already up at 3. So I ended up getting up, and you just got to get. And what's the meditation in the morning? I got to get ready for Krishna. I got to get ready for Krishna. Instead of I got to get ready for work, I got to get ready for work's there. You're gonna go to work later, but I'm gonna get ready for Krishna, and that is like your focus. So you're going through the scrambling of the morning, and you're even like hustling off there. But your meditation is I'm getting ready for Krishna to see me. It's actually incredible meditation. I was just thinking, then that guy's gonna go to work. Those people are gonna go to work, and probably on their lunch break, they're probably gonna go to the temple, and then probably. They're going to go there after work. There's no Netflix. That's how you wind up your day. How sweet.
It's the best.
It's the best. It's very kid-friendly.
Yeah.
It's very kid-friendly, right? And another thing is it's sort of like there's like a bunch of young people there too. It's like, where What are young people doing in America? Standing around singing songs to a deity? No. It's the last thing they're trying to do.
They did live stream yesterday also, like FaceTime or WhatsApp with the relatives that couldn't see. They were just looking at it. On their phones. Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of that. Yeah.
this is getting sweet.
There was a teenager in front of me, and he was posting all the pictures of Govinda on Facebook. And then he must do it every day. He changes his profile picture to that daily picture that he takes.
I don't know if you heard that. Parmananda was saying that there's somebody posting all his pictures. You could see it. A teenager. Yeah, that's what the teenagers are doing nowadays. They're looking at Radha Govinda. Anyway, we're in this whole city. And then, like I said, these are, we might have said this yesterday. These are the ancient deities that were carved by Krishna's Arjuna's great grandson, Vajranabh.
Krishna's.
Pradyumna,
I thought it was Parikshit's son.
no, Pradyumna, and then Aniruddha's.
Corrected by Damodar Priya again. Okay, what is it? Krishna, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vajranabh. Okay, that's the disciplic succession there. And so he carved these deities, and then they got lost over time. And so they were rediscovered, or they've been taken care of privately, or some have never been lost. And in Vrindavan, there's still a few, but a lot of the ones in Vrindavan were taken out of the Braj area and brought to these kingdoms where they would be protected from foreign invaders. So we get to have darshan. Tonight, we're going to go see Radha Vinod and Radha Gopinath and Radha Govinda. It's going to be darshan night.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Beautiful.
Congratulations.
This is where oh, go ahead.
Congratulations to all the people who are doing their second yoga, what's your podcast called? Wisdom of the Sages podcast. Because we're just on crazy time here. So thanks for everybody joining us. But a bunch of you I can see you're already doing two. Everyone's holding up their finger. They've done two. Yes. Look at these people. You're obsessed. What's the matter with you guys? Get a life. That was like the common high school thing to say, get a life.
This is the life that the Bhagavatam leads to. You know, you become happy simply, but your heart, your mind become full of beautiful sentiments, and your mind goes where it should go. It rises above the hankering and the lamentation of what material life delivers.
Yeah, material life. Okay, let's do our loving mantras. Glorifying the Bhagavatam. Ready, Prabhu? Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavad sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agana Tamarandasya Gyaranjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Kaustubha, I'm seeing a bunch of people on the show today that were with us in India and then have already gone home, like Stacy and Bryn Leela, and anybody else I can see here. Anyway, we miss you all. So we're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 14.
No,
Text 26.
Close.
You are the examiner. You are Parikshit Maharaj. Text 26. Okay. O twice born sage, O twice born brahmanas, still his mind was not satisfied. although he engaged himself in working for total welfare of the world. We're talking about Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva, who's the author, sharing that story is being shared about him by the next group of storytellers. Vyasadeva, after being in this incredible pundit scholar, dividing the Vedas into four, knowing so much, he's already liberated. He's feeling despondent in his heart. Purport says, Sri Vyasadeva was not satisfied with himself. Although he had prepared literatures of Vedic value for the all-around welfare of the mass of people, it was expected that he would be satisfied by all such activities, but ultimately he was not satisfied. Can I share something with you, Kaustubha?
Yes, please.
There's a lot of people in yoga societies that do like Vedic study. It's very interesting stuff. Oh, they study Sanskrit, they study like ragas, or they study philosophy. They practice like sattvic diet and very, so many different facets of like a very refined Vedic lifestyle. And like real yogis, they're disciplined, they're renounced, they're austere. But it's when somebody kicks in with a kirtan, with a Bhaje Govinda, Bhaje Gopal, and they start glorifying the Lord with these sweet songs. It's something that makes, I know me and Gauravani did a program last year at one of these like yoga societies. I won't mention it, but it was very serious yoga society. But when we got there and we just started singing, they all just lost their mind, because the heart really wants to sing and glorify. It does something to the consciousness, just like there's people dancing today, makes everybody swoon and dance. And it's the life of transcendental knowledge as taught by Lord Chaitanya. Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam Pradipradam Purnamristan. I'm leaving to Damodar Priya. But it's the light, all this transcendental study. It's almost for a class of people that just like to study their intellect. But once you break into a kirtan, everybody comes together. It brings us all together. Who's airdropping me something right now? How dare it? I'm gonna accept it, but whatever.
You know what you're saying, Raghu?
Yeah.
It's interesting because what happens here with Vyasadeva is the saying he compiled all those sciences that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, this is my point. Go ahead though.
And so, but still there's something missing. There's something, so his heart is not singing. His heart is not fully satisfied. He doesn't know why. He feels like he's done his job. And then Narada is going to come to say that the problem is that you haven't glorified Krishna enough.
And this is this other point about I like the concept of, we thought, I grew up Christian. So I was saying that the idea of a saint, of a saintly person, of a holy person. But in the Vedic paradigm, there's nuances of saintliness, or there's realizations that they're like Shaunaka Rishi's the head of a bunch of liberated souls who's being inquisitive to Sukadeva Goswami. So even though they're free from vice, that joy that comes within the heart, Vyasadeva is going to find through this regular, intense glorifying of the Lord. And this is what the whole Bhagavatam is. It's the recitation of these pastimes, these avatars of Vishnu, culminating in these incredibly sweet pastimes of baby Krishna crawling around, stealing butter, doing all this type of mischief, and then growing up being a lover of the gopis. And this is what starts to give life. And if you read, and I like to read these too, you read books of philosophy, like the Yoga Sutras, a nice philosophical book. But unless you're like inclined to philosophy, you'll be like, okay, interesting. Sleeping, unless you really have that intellectual mind, which I don't. I'm okay to say I don't. I like the pastimes. I like the stories. I'll even dip into children's comic books of Mahaganga. That's on my present reading list right now. I've got a bunch of things. Kaustubha, you can look on the night table. I've got a bunch of like thick books that I'll never get through, and then I've got the Ganga comic book that I'm presently wrapped in with rapt attention. It's just, and it's not like there's not philosophical truths. Ganga is emanating from the feet of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is like, the lowest part of Lord Vishnu is his lotus feet. Ganga purifies all. It's actually steeped in deep philosophy, but they're just like fantastic stories.
Yeah.
You know, so if you've got one of those brains, it's not like the Bhagavatam is an epic work of Sanskrit poetry. There's people that memorize chapters, volumes of the Bhagavatam, that real intellectuals. But for some people like myself, I love the stories, and I still feel like I'm not getting cheated because I don't have a deep philosophical mind. And the interesting thing is, you don't need to have a deep once you get into bhakti, you're a natural philosopher anyway. Everybody here, we think on a regular basis about birth and death. What is the meaning of life? What am I doing here? And these are these Genesis questions we have to ask for the dawn of our spiritual life to even begin. What am I doing here? What the hell am I doing here?
You know, in the next chapter, right now, Vyasadeva is going to contemplate why he's not feeling ecstasy in his heart, even though he's compiled all these sciences and so on. And the next chapter, Narada is going to respond. His guru is going to respond. And, you know, he's going to use this, basically, he's going to say, you haven't glorified that root of all existence enough. So people don't understand where they're going. That's why you're not feeling this joy in your heart. Now, he uses the word, he says, yasha. I'm looking at it now. Anudita prayam yasha bhagavata. You haven't praised enough. You haven't glorified enough Bhagavata, the Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. And that the word yasha, it's like Krishna's mother is called Yashoda, right?
Means wealth, right?
Da means to give, and yasha means to glorify, you know, the glories, to give glory to. And it's similar to Radharani's mother, so it's kirtida, right? Like the word kirtan comes from the same root. It also means like to glorify. And so the kirtan that we did today, what it means, people say like, what does kirtan mean? And you can define it as a call and response chanting or something. If you can, but literally what it means is to glorify. Mm. And so whether it's yasha, to glorify, or kirti, to glorify, it's that kirtan. It's that act of, and you see it, you know, in other traditions too. Like you take, like what we experience today is similar to what people experience like in a gospel, like it's sometimes like in gospel in churches with the, right, you know, where they're singing.
Yeah.
They're glorifying God.
And ever go to one of those gospel churches?
Sure.
I used to go to one in Brooklyn. Back when Brooklyn wasn't so nice. But it was the gospel church was really nice. I danced, I sang, maybe cried.
Same thing. It's like when people come together as a group, when they stop focusing on trying to make themselves the center and they look at the root of all existence, that divine root of all existence, and they make that the center, and then you sing, you reconnect, and it's something very real. So all the philosophy, all the yoga, all the asana, all the pranayama, all the mudras, all the rituals, it's all meant to just bring us to that simple point where we want to connect to that root with love, with genuine affection, and then we feel happy. And that's where yoga is meant to take one. Vyasadeva is not quite feeling happy right now. What's the problem? His guru is going to come clarify. You haven't glorified God enough. People don't understand it. You're not feeling that upliftment. Focus on that. And then that's what the Bhagavatam is, just like lots of that.
And that's the doorway into all these like fantastic pastimes we're going to read. All righty. What are we on? Thus the sage, this is now we're on text 30. Thus the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect because he knew the essence of Dharma. And he said within himself, I have under strict disciplinary vows. I'm sounding like unpretentious.
I think you've skipped a few verses, Raghu.
Did I?
I think so.
No. Around 28. You just read 27.
Yeah. I'm at 28 and 29 is combined together.
Okay.
I have under strict disciplinary vows unpretentiously worshiped the Vedas, the spiritual master, and the altar of sacrifice. I've also abided by the rulings and have shown the import of the cyclic succession through explanation of the Mahabharata, which even the women, the Sudras, and others can see the path of Dharma. So here's again, is this thing of the idea of like raise red flags, like women, what make us sound like second-class citizens, but it should be understood like we're dealing with a whole different culture, a whole different world, where which is even hard to understand. It's hard to understand the world before the automobile, or the world for my kids. It's hard to understand what what were those things called? A Walkman is, and our relationship with the education, or in general, of most of the people. It wasn't just the women, it was everybody except the Brahmanas. It just sort of wasn't there. People who had jobs, they learned their jobs from their father. I mean, I don't know the whole thing about society. If people went, if other people didn't go to school or not, or they just learned trades.
If you look at a book like the Upanishads, which is written in Sanskrit, is very cryptic, is deeply philosophical. It has no popular appeal. And there's only a section of elites that are even trained, will even be trained to read it and understand it. And it was almost like this knowledge was kind of guarded closely too. It wouldn't be shared with anyone. And so what Vyasadeva is saying here is, but even I broke through that by composing the Mahabharata, where I took all the same essential information and made it popular by making it really appealing to all classes of people. So he's saying, I've tried to do everything right. I was strict. I followed my vows. I connected with the Vedas without any pretension. I laid out how one can connect through sacrifice. I've followed all the rules, and I've shown how the disciplic succession works. And I composed the Mahabharata so that it broke out of just being some literature just for the elite, and that it had mass popularity. But I still feel incomplete. What is it?
Anyway, I wanted to touch that thing about women also, because it red flags, especially in modern culture. If you know me and my wife is exponentially smarter than me. So I think that the idea is like, okay, there's these less intelligent workers, women, etc. There is only an elite who even have access to study Sanskrit. And I think it was like that with the Christian mass, etc. The priest had understood Latin or Greek. And so therefore it was exclusive. And so then he's saying, okay, I've even put this stuff into the Mahabharata. Now, if the Mahabharata is the fifth Purana, why isn't it saying that people were satisfied from reading the Mahabharata? Because that's glorifying Krishna's pastimes.
It's not glorifying Krishna's pastimes so directly. The Mahabharata doesn't talk about Krishna's birth, Krishna's growth, Krishna's past. It's a Pandava's pastimes. It has just a little bit of Krishna's pastimes in it.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I'm feeling
it's almost like what Narada's going to say is,
you got to turn it up. You got to turn it up. You got to turn it up.
What's that?
And by the way, whether a person, and this is a good example too, whether a person is one of these intellectuals who have access to the inner teachings, or if the person is like a cobbler, or a person who's just uneducated, again and again, the essence of the Bhagavatam is, it's actually got nothing to do with it. Like we hear so many stories, we'll read in the 10th canto. There are these very intellectual priests who are missing the point. And there are the wives of those priests who were just simple village women who actually understood the essence. And that's the famous story of the wives of the Brahmins, how Krishna went to appeal to these priests. They knew all the Sanskrit, they knew all the mantras, they had impeccably dressed and had cleanliness and do all the rituals and mudras. But when Krishna approached them, can I have some food? They were dismissive. And it's almost like and you'll hear this message again and again, because in India, what I appreciate about India is we're not trying to find equality by homogenizing everyone. We are all the same. Not true. I'm not the same as Mara. I'm not the same as Silas. I'm not the same as Rachel. I'm not the same as Kaustubha. We can all even sort of look reasonably the same. We can all be the same height. We can even all dress the same, right? But we can all put on tuxedos, but we are all unique individuals. And we can't artificially say we are all the same. There's differences in our intellect. There's difference in our emotions. Some people are very stoic. Some people are very, some people cry easily. We are all completely different. And I think in the name and the desire, and we see this going on right now, in the name of equality, we're trying to whitewash everybody. And it's just not true. And in these Vedic paradigm, and you can get lost because on a material level, there's a difference. And we can, and this Vedic paradigm notices these differences. They even notice the difference in the qualities of things you're attracted to. For example, Rachel's helping organize this whole thing. And she, as soon as we got off the bus to come back here, she said, okay, she's talking to the bus driver. Someone comes up to me, Raghunath, what time are we leaving? I was like, I don't know, ask Rachel. It's like, I'm so happy not to manage because I've been sort of managing with Moga the whole training last month. But I was like, ask Rachel. I hate managing things. I'm a lousy manager. There are things I'm good at, and it is talking. That's all I'm good at. I can do a handstand and I can talk. That's about as much as I'm qualified. And I'm not even that good at kirtan, but if I were around Janeshwar, I'm good. But my point is, there are people who are mathematical. There are people who are good with numbers. There are people that are incredible chefs and knitters. There's people that have different talent. And just to say we're all the same, it cheapens our beautiful differences. And the whole Vedic culture recognizes that difference. And they have these concepts of caste. Although the caste system has become perverse, there was an idea that I am born with a gift to give. I'm born with a gift to give, and I'm unique in that. What happened was people would get proud if they had some what we call the status. And that was the breakdown, the corruption of like an intellectual class, and it would become arrogant. And because of that arrogance, I'm losing my train of thought. Bring me back, Kaustubha.
Well, I think what you're saying is that
I'm back. Okay, listen. So on that outer level, we're all different. But where is that connection? That's all on the inner level. Yeah. And to reinforce that point, Vyasadeva, although it sounds almost like a sexist statement, he's making this point, again, just the opposite. It doesn't matter where anybody's at in a social status, their heart and their spirit is what is connecting them. And again, you'll hear these stories, like the story of Vidura Rani, Vidura's wife, who just like out of pure love, she's like caught in a rapture and she's shoving banana peels in Krishna's mouth. And Krishna's saying, I don't even care. I love her love. That's what I'm going to accept her love. Or the story of the wives of the Brahmins, even though the husbands were those intellectual elite, but that didn't give them any inner connection with the truth. Matter of fact, that arrogance disqualified them. So we're not interested in learning for the sake of learning, becoming a pundit for the sake of being a pundit, a Sanskrit scholar for the sake of being a Sanskrit scholar, learning kirtan to impress. We are interested in the bhakti, and the bhakti is the underlying connection to spirit that's in all different bodies. And sometimes people have issues. I have a body. I'm a black man, or I'm a white man, or and we're trying to find our identity in connection. I'm straight. I'm gender neutral. We're trying to find some type of way for justice with this body. There is no justice with the body, and there will always be people who won't give you that justice. It's called having a body and living in the material world. The best thing we can do is give everybody dignity. Give everybody a type of dignity that they deserve. It's their birthright to give them dignity. Why? Because they're spiritual beings. And I want to extend that outside the human species. It's got nothing to do with straight or gay or Republican or Democrat. It's got nothing to do with that. We give dignity to everyone. We give respect to everyone. We give respect to a tree. We give respect to the pigeons. That's just part of a bhakti culture. And if you're trying to find peace on the bodily platform, good luck. If you're trying to find equality on the bodily platform, good luck. You know why? There's always jerks out there. There's always people who are going to hate you because of your body. You know what I mean? There's always people who are going to hate you because of your skin tone or lack of skin tone. And it's not just, and this gets into a whole snowball, but I'm just going to go there today. It's not just because I can't say it because I'm a privileged white male. Not true. Not true. In my own personal life, I was picked on for being white when I was in high school. I was in junior high school. I was picked on. I was extorted from, and I became, and it's almost embarrassing, humiliating to say, I was never racist. My parents didn't raise me to be racist. I became racist in junior high school because I was picked on and I had money extorted from me by groups of blacks. Now, people would say, oh, that's horrible, but it was a reverse racism. And it wasn't until I or my senior year in high school, or maybe my 11th grade, I was like, you know what? It's not a race that hates me. It's a few people that were jerks. And I think for us to say, well, if you're white or if you're a male, you won't get shit upon. It's not true. Everybody gets shit upon. It's part of having a body. You'll always find someone that hates you, even if you're doing the right thing. Even if you're a good person, there'll be people who don't like you because you're gay. They don't like you because you're Democrat. They don't like you because you're Republican. They don't like you because you're transgender. You're never going to get rid of that. There's always jerks, but I'm not going to hate everybody. And I can't falsely say, well, I'm not white. I give up I am not a body. I'm not a white male. And I just have this car for a few days, this vehicle, a few years. And I'm going to get shit for having it. And I'm going to get some privilege for having it. That's just part of having it. And the best thing I can do is to treat everybody with dignity. There might have been colonialists before me that have wrecked things and destroyed things. And although I feel for those people, the best thing I can do to make up for that is for me on a daily basis to treat everybody with dignity. And that's how I deal with, I'm not responsible for what my grandfather did or my great-grandfather did. I didn't even know my great-grandfather. But I am responsible for everything I do today and how I lead my life. What do you think about that, Kaustubha? Am I on base with this?
I like the point that you're saying about treating everyone with dignity. You see, the thing is that no material plans solve our problems. And we can look at these very real injustices that are in the world and try to fix them with a material plan. But usually what that does is it increases it in some way. Whereas what solves a problem is taking on the spiritual level. That there's a spiritual level to all material, there's a spiritual solution to all material problems. And that is that we see everyone as a soul, that we see everyone with dignity. That means that we need spiritual education, that we need to understand even just simply logically, that there's a soul within every body, and that soul is going through many different varieties of bodies. Currently I'm in a body that is like, you could say, let's analyze it. It's male. It's half European. It's half Hispanic. It's raised in a particular area.
Are you half Hispanic?
My mother's Mexican. My father's Italian.
Okay.
We can try to make a million adjustments to put everybody on an equal level. But what actually puts people on an equal level is to recognize that we're all spirits going through all these different, I'm in this body now. In my previous life, I don't know what body I was in. I may have been female. I may have been of another race. I may have been from another place. And before that, I may have not even been a human. I may have been in another species. And this is just like clarity. If someone can grasp.
Someone called me a white privileged male, and I said, I'm not a male. I'm a male for a moment. I'm looking at a Kiko right here. I'm about as much of a male as she's a male. I'm a female in a moment.
Yeah.
We're just seeing what this is what we're asked to do in a spiritual vision is we see ourselves as bigger than I'm an Italian-American New Yorker. That is one page, a thin page in an encyclopedia of my lifetime.
And that concept that you're saying right now, a lot of people couldn't relate to that at all if you said that. And they would see it as impractical and let's deal with reality. But my point would be, no. That's the real reality. That's the true reality. And that's the level of spiritual education that we need to solve these problems. It's only when you get it on that level do the problems become solved.
It's like the old analogy is I'm chased by a pack of dogs in my dream. Mm-hmm. Dreams become real. They get so real, my heartbeat races. I start to sweat. I sometimes scream in my sleep, ah!
But there's only one way out.
There's one way out, is you pick up a shotgun and blow the heads off those crazy dogs. No. You don't pick up a dream shotgun to shoot the dogs that are chasing you down. You wake up from the dream. Our spiritual life, our entrance into bhakti is waking up from the dream. I no longer see that I'm in fear. The fear is created in my mind. I no longer identify with I even die. It's a very high realization, but the fact is, we don't die. The fact is, when trouble happens, I get what I need for my next life. Sometimes you hear about a young child that dies, and from my vantage point, I feel sad. And it's okay to feel sad. We don't know where that child is at in their spiritual evolution. That could be the last body they need before they're liberated. They need to burn off some karma. And when you get this, you stop blaming. I mean, come on, even in Western psychology, you got some issue. Oh, I'm angry at my husband, or I'm angry at my wife. And a good therapist will say, oh, you're angry at your husband? Your wife is driving you crazy? What's your responsibility in this? Oh, nothing. It's all her. Really? Why did you choose her? She's got all these problems. Why did you choose her? So the idea is we have some responsibility in our relationships now. But the yogis are saying, no. There is full responsibility in a culture of blaming where I have a PhD in victimization. It can't exist in a spiritual paradigm. In a spiritual paradigm, is I got what I got because there's a benevolent force lifting me, even if it appears on paper as tragedy. My job is to see, no. This is my blessing. This is my blessing.
There's a passage in the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter.
I feel my seat getting hot.
No, I wasn't going to quiz you. I was just going to read, but maybe let's see where it goes. This is beginning with text 8. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. The living entity, thus taking on another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped around the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So we go from one body to another. We carry certain karma or certain conceptions with us as we go. And now we take on a new identity in a new body.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
This is the essence of the Gita, is the essence of all. And even in Indian culture, when people get lost, they think, I'm a Brahmin. I'm from a Brahmin family. You're not from a Brahmin family. You're a spirit soul.
Just playing a role.
You're just playing a role.
Yeah.
And this is where this concept and arrogance can kick in. I am born a Brahmin. And Raghunath Swami's Guru Prabhupada made this statement very clear, that this whole concept of I am from this family, I'm from a low-born family, or from a high-born family, or I am straight, I am gay, I'm Democratic, I'm Republican, I'm an American. It's all just a rented Hertz rent-a-car.
Yeah.
I rented a convertible. I'm not a convertible, right? Then I go back to my Kia. Then I have a Kia. But I'm not the Kia either, because I'll trade that Kia in and get another one. So no matter what vehicle you're renting, it's yours for a few days. And out of illusion, and I've done this before, get in that convertible rental and feel like, yeah. You almost take on the mood of the car. You know what I'm talking about? Ever take on the mood of the car you're driving?
Now listen to this, Raghu. It continues, text 10. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spells of the modes of nature.
That's turning in the rental car. You're putting your body.
But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. So we may try to create justice, even very well-intentioned, but unless this kind of spiritual education that we're just reading right now is contemplated, is real, and this is just touching the surface of it. You can go deeper and deeper and deeper into this. It's only on this level, when people are spiritually educated, when people understand that we're all souls passing through all kinds of bodies, according to desires that we're storing within our minds and hearts, and that we're ultimately all have a common root that we all share. It's only on that level of knowledge that one can attain peace. And what we experience today, walking into this temple, right, where we're all from other races, other worlds. There's different genders. There's different everything. Everybody connected.
And there's different economical brackets.
Economical brackets.
Sometimes people you don't think, but they're incredibly wealthy. Yeah. And then there's some people who's just like the guy who's sweeping the street.
Yeah. But everybody was connecting on a spiritual level, and everyone was happy.
And everybody was happy. You know, the problem is the justice set out by world watchdogs. You know, we're trying to find there's injustice, there's injustice, there's injustice. This isn't me and Kaustubha making this stuff up. This is how transcendentalists sharpen their vision. And this is how we're doing it right here on the show, is we sharpen our vision, not to like sort of point out. See, the problem with pointing out the injustices out there is it becomes a smoke screen. So I don't have to look at my own internal
transformation,
personal transformation, the things I have to let go, where I'm actually unjust, right? If I'm possessed by kama or lust, how am I going to treat a person with dignity? Let's face it, lust, if I just see a person as a body, that means I'm like ignoring their soul and looking at them as a commodity for me to enjoy. And the person, one of the persons in that relationship will feel, man, he used me. He used me. Well, using someone means you just take them as a thing. So unless you have kama, I want to see people who are talking about justice. I want them free from all kama. I want them free from all lust. Then talk about justice. If you're free from lust, then you can talk about justice and social justice. Otherwise, there's certain people that you're going to see, yes, I lust that. I lust that person. I lust that person. I see them as a thing for me to enjoy. Where's the justice there? So we're talking about genuine justice. It's not fake justice where I say, I see everybody equally. That's bull. You have to actually develop. There's actually a stage in spiritual evolution that actually is this pandita samadarshana.
Yeah. Brahmabhuta, prastanatma. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah. There's verse after verse after verse of developing this equal vision of mind. And it's not cheap. It's not just saying it. It's developing that lens. And we develop that
on
lens.
It again and again.
Go on. I'm cutting.
No, please. But I was saying, just reflecting on.
I'm trying hard not to cut Kaustubha off.
No, I'm cutting you off this time.
On many occasions, I cut Kaustubha off on a regular basis.
I cut you off this time, but I was appreciating what you're saying so much. It inspired me, and that is that it's by reading the Gita and similar texts and contemplating them again and again and again that our mind, or you could say our eyes, become trained to see the world in this way. And that is the only solution. It really is. I respect everyone that has good intentions in terms of trying to solve the injustices of the world. But what Srila Prabhupada taught was that ultimately we need to train people to have this first-class vision. And when enough people kind of get this and click on this, we can change the world. But ultimately it's that spiritual. We can try to clean all the rivers, but if we don't develop spiritual vision, we're just going to pollute them all again.
Right.
We can try to address social issues, but unless we purify our vision, we're just going to, even if we accomplish something and pass a law, or it's just going to rise up again. There has to be spiritual vision, when we all recognize that we're all souls, we're not these bodies, we're all passing through so many different types of bodies, and that we can purify our intention, we can recognize our connection, then there's potential for peace. And without it, there's no peace, no justice, and no peace.
It's like, I was going to say, it's like when one of those guys wins, someone uneducated or not good with money, they win the lottery and they spend all the money immediately. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
So yes, we're training ourselves in knowledge, how to handle this real, how to understand who we are and handle real, and work for real justice, which is, as the Bhagavatam calls it, a revolution in the hearts of the people of the world. Thanks for everybody joining us on our podcast. We're going to do this. Are we doing this tomorrow?
I think tomorrow at this time, yeah?
Tomorrow we're traveling.
No, but we could do it at this time.
All right, let's do
yeah?
it at the same time tomorrow. Let's just do that.
Let's do it.
Okay, great. Thanks, podcast people. If you like the podcast, go to Apple Podcasts, give it a 5-star review. Come on, you can do that. And everybody else on Zoom, if you want to join Zoom, we got a whole group of people who are all buddies and they dance together. And then we have live here today. Thanks for joining us, you guys on Zoom. Write Mara, Wisdom of the Sages 108 at gmail.com, and you can get on the Zoom group. And everybody get on the Telegram group. Everybody sing Radhe. Thank you, Zoomers. Everybody who joined late. You got two this week. Good to see everybody who we didn't see already. And good to see Vrin Leela and Stacy back home safe. Jai Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe.